what breaks first when teams move faster with AI? We identified a few pillars, and the first one being process discipline. So if teams are moving faster, process discipline is disappearing. And something you said, Garrett, I think is, to me, in preparation, is really salient. AI can work around a bad process in the short term. Teams have maybe felt like they fixed something, but they didn't. And then that process debt can compound sort of in the background. So let's make this practical for our audience. You and I have talked about when someone bypasses the staging environment as an example. Can you sort of set the scene? Teams are moving faster. They're trying to work around a problem. They think they have a solution with AI. And what does or whatever, faster, what does the fallout actually look like?
Yeah, I mean, just because you can do it faster doesn't necessarily mean that's the right thing to do. Speed often creates the illusion of productivity. So the missing piece ultimately is this checkpoint, the moment where someone with the right context actually looks at, what is about to go live before it does. So the firms that are getting this right are the ones that have a really defined workflow, and then they apply AI inside that workflow. So not the other way around. They're not looking for the AI to solve a problem. They didn't adopt the tool and then try to figure out where it fits, essentially. They started with the process and then used the AI to move through that process faster. So marketing and business development teams generally lean towards yes, whereas IT, operations, compliance often lean towards no. And that right answer is the workflow that gives kind of both sides what they need. Marketing brings the idea, IT compliance assesses the risk, and then it ships. It's not necessarily a bottleneck. It's really how folks stay out of trouble.
But it feels like a bottleneck, Garrett.
Well, well, it can be. I mean, I have a phenomenal example. You mentioned a second ago about the staging site. Did you want me to use an example?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, this is a real situation. It happened just a few weeks ago, so it's fresh in my head. We have a client that is working with a third-party marketing and SEO company. The
Not
third part,
nine sale, to be
not
clear.
Nine Sale, not Nine Sale. They're working with a marketing company that was making changes. It's a pretty it's a heavily trafficked website. It's a pretty large website. They were making changes directly to their live site. They went ahead and installed 6 plugins directly on the live environment, and no one coordinated it with us. I'm not even certain that they coordinated it with the client or there was just no heads up, and there was no staging environment used. And just for those that don't know, a staging environment is essentially a copy, an exact replica of your website, but it's sandboxed off. It's safe to do things like testing and making sure that everything is good before it goes live. Well, at about 4:30 in the morning, my time, West Coast, the site went blank. Every page was down. The firm's website, which is where prospective clients go to evaluate them, was down before anyone was even up at work. But here's what made it really offensive, essentially, made it worse. When we pulled the logs and identified exactly what happened and when, the marketing team's first response was that it was a hosting issue. We happen to host the site. We know that wasn't the case.
Mhm.
So we had screenshots showing their usernames, exact plugins installed, and timestamps. So you had a process failure of accountability happening simultaneously. No one tested before going live, and then when it broke, no one would own it. This version of the story is what ends with a Monday morning call from a panicked firm, whereas the version that doesn't make the news is the one where a process existed. You test it on staging, you coordinate it with whoever's managing the site, and then you push it live only after something has been verified. Could take an extra 24 hours, but the alternative cost is a firm might lose a prospective client they didn't even know was ever coming their way.
Mhm.
Long story short, a firm's website isn't just a brochure, it's a business development asset. So if something on that asset gets changed without some sort of review step or process involved, you're not necessarily moving faster, you're gambling through a process.